What will happen to Diddy's assets after going to jail? It's a question that's been echoing across social media, news channels, and boardroom conversations. Sean Diddy Combs, rap mogul, fashion icon, liquor tycoon, and media powerhouse, is now entangled in a legal storm so serious that the very foundation of his empire is at risk. With multiple lawsuits and federal investigations circling him, the world is watching and wondering, if Diddy ends up behind bars, what happens to the empire he spent decades building? In today's video, we're diving deep into the possible fallout. We'll examine what could happen to his properties, his business empire, his money, and even the people who depend on him. This isn't just about one man. This is about the collapse, or survival, of a multi-million-dollar legacy. Let's break it down. Chapter 1, Diddy's Empire. Sean Combs, better known as Diddy, Puff Daddy, or simply Love, has crafted a lifestyle and business portfolio that spans the entertainment, fashion, beverage, and media industries. We're talking about Revolt TV, a media company focused on music and black culture, a massive partnership with Ciroc vodka, which reportedly earns him tens of millions annually. The Sean John clothing line, which helped define early 2000s urban fashion. Stakes in De Leon tequila, real estate in Los Angeles, Miami, and the Hamptons, and a long list of music royalties and publishing rights. In total, his estimated net worth before the lawsuits hovered around $300 million. But if Diddy goes to jail, everything, from his cash to his clothing line, is on the line. Chapter 2, Asset Seizure. Let's talk about the big hammer, asset seizure. When someone is convicted of serious crimes, especially ones involving money laundering, racketeering, or trafficking, there's a strong chance the government will freeze or seize assets tied to those crimes. This includes bank accounts, homes and vehicles, businesses, if linked to criminal activity, digital properties like streaming rights and IP ownership. The key word here is linked. If federal investigators can prove that Diddy used any of these properties to commit or conceal crimes, or if they were purchased with proceeds from those crimes, they can legally take them. For example, if funds were funneled through Revolt TV or used to buy a property in Miami, and those funds are linked to illegal activity, say goodbye to that mansion. In March 2024, both his Los Angeles and Miami homes were raided by federal agents. That's not just symbolic, that's often step one in building a seizure case. Chapter 3, Power of Attorney and Management. Now, let's say some of Diddy's assets are clean, or at least unprovable in court. What then? Even from behind bars, Diddy could maintain legal ownership of certain properties and businesses, especially if they're not connected to the criminal allegations. But he won't be able to manage them directly. Instead, he'll have to assign power of attorney to someone he trusts, likely a lawyer, family member, or business associate. This person could sign contracts on his behalf, pay taxes and mortgages, collect royalties and profits. But here's the catch. Just because someone is managing your assets doesn't mean they're growing them. In fact, in high-profile scandals, it's common for businesses to suffer, employees to resign, and partnerships to dissolve. Chapter 4, Business Partnerships. Let's talk brand value. Because reputation, in business, is everything. Even if Diddy isn't convicted, the allegations alone have already caused damage. Brands are cutting ties. Civil lawsuits are stacking up. Investors are backing out. Take Revolt TV. It was once a fresh voice in urban media, but after the allegations, several executives reportedly resigned, advertisers pulled out, and the company's public perception plummeted. Same with his liquor deals. Diageo, which owns Ciroc and De Leon, already tried to distance itself from Diddy before. Now, they have even more reason to sever ties. And what happens when your name is your brand? In Diddy's case, every business he owns is associated directly with his face, his voice, and his public persona. That's a blessing when you're loved, but a curse when scandal hits. Chapter 5, Civil Lawsuits. In addition to criminal charges, Diddy faces a flood of civil lawsuits. These lawsuits don't send you to jail, but they can bankrupt you. Over 120 people have filed civil complaints alleging abuse, harassment, trafficking, and more. If the courts side with even a fraction of them, Diddy could be on the hook for tens or hundreds of millions in damages. And here's the kicker, civil judgments can lead to asset liquidation. That means, selling homes to pay settlements. Auctioning luxury vehicles. Using music royalties to pay legal bills. One insider described Diddy's legal strategy as triage. He's trying to protect whatever parts of his empire he still can. Chapter 6: What happens to the money? Let's say Diddy goes to jail, loses brand deals, and faces massive payouts. What happens to his actual cash? Well, if it's in a legitimate bank account and not frozen, it stays his. But he won't have access to it behind bars. Inmates don't get debit cards. At most, Diddy would be allowed a small commissary account, think snacks, soap, and stationery. Some reports say he's already using cans of mackerel as currency in jail. The rest of his finances would be handled by lawyers and accountants. They'd pay off legal fees, civil settlements, taxes, maintenance for homes or businesses. In short, the cash gets eaten up fast. Chapter 7: Family and Dependents. Diddy has 7 children, ranging from toddlers to adults. He also financially supports friends, family members, and staff. If he goes to jail, his ability to provide will be drastically limited. Trusts or financial plans may cover some of his kids' needs, but many dependents could face cutbacks or be forced to find other sources of income. Worse yet, some of them might become targets of the lawsuits or investigations themselves, especially if they've benefited from assets under scrutiny. Chapter 8: Legacy in Jeopardy. All of this leads to a larger question: what happens to Diddy's legacy? He was once hailed as a self-made mogul who brought hip-hop into the boardroom. But if the charges stick, he could go down not just as a criminal, but as a symbol of everything wrong with unchecked power. His music might still be played. His name may still appear in history books. But the empire? That could be dismantled, piece by piece, through courtrooms and crisis management firms. So, what will happen to Diddy's assets if he goes to jail? Some will be seized. Others will be managed from afar. Many will lose value. And almost all will be touched by scandal. It's a high-profile collapse in slow motion. And no matter what side of the story you believe, one thing is clear: no empire is untouchable. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Diddy's empire can survive this storm? Thanks for watching.